Now this closed hip straddle position, or seated straddle pancake position, is commonly used in calisthenics, in handstands and other disciplines to get deeper into the closed hip position. So basically bring the torso closer to the legs in a straddle. So you can do skills like press handstand. So if you struggle to get into that position, you're going to struggle to lift your feet off the floor, you're going to struggle to go up into handstand. So today I'm going to quickly run through my favorite exercises that I personally use to go from this position to this position. And these are the ones that I'm commonly using with my clients now. Now the first position, this raised up position, is the one that I would recommend that everyone uses in some way. So when they're working on their laptop, when they're playing with their kids, when they're playing Xbox, when they're watching TV, you could spend minutes, if not hours, in this position. You just need to make sure that the hips are raised up enough. You could bend the knees even if you need to allow your back to be flat. So you don't want to feel like you're sitting for long periods of time in this position with a rounded spine. You want to feel that you can lean forwards comfortably into it. And I recommend that you make this part of your daily practice, even if you're not training. Just start sitting like this for 10, 15, 20 minutes a day. And then more for your work in reps and sets that you might do in between your handstands or as part of your warm-up before your training. So again, I'd raise the hips up if you need to get that flat back position. And then we just want to spend time going in that direction. So not that direction, that direction. So we want to be encouraging the spine to lengthen as we go into the position, not to go into flexion. So two of my favorites here are to have something in front of you that you could just push out. Now obviously that could be anything. You push it out and then you sit back up again. And you push it out a little bit further and then you sit back up again. And you just keep going with that, and it's going to really encourage you to go forwards and lengthen that spine. The other way of doing it is just to place your hands down on the floor or your elbows if you're much more flexible, and then just slowly walk forwards with the hands or the elbows. Again, to try to take the head as far away from the hips as you can, lengthening the spine out. Now the cool thing with this one is it's measurable. So I could put my hips against something like the wall, and then I could push something out in front of me and I can measure that distance from the block to the wall. Or I could measure my depth. So come off the mats for the measurement. See if you can get one elbow to the floor. If you can't do one elbow, put a fist in the way, add some fingers if you need to. Once you get one elbow to the floor, see if you can do two elbows. If you can do two elbows, see if you can get forehead to the fists, forehead to the palms, forehead to the floor, nose to the floor, chin to the floor, chest, and then eventually belly button. And I recommend everyone assesses that and at least video from the side as well, so you can see your progression week to week. Another great tool I like to use with these is a weight plate. Now depending on which variation you're doing, I'd increase the weight to quite heavy. So you could go to a 20k plate for this first exercise. Before we start, just get the butt cheeks out of the way when you sit down onto the floor so you can get onto your sit bones. Have the plate in front of you. So now this one's only a 10 kilo. I'd recommend, like I say, going up to like a 15 or a 20, because we're just using the weight to pull us in that direction. So the heavier the plate, the more it's going to pull you in that direction, but you're only getting a percentage of the plate because it's on the floor. So again, you can play and fine tune this, but we're aiming to get that head to go further and further away from the body and trying to lengthen the spine as best we can. Another cool one here is start to explore the side. So you can go out to the side. You can try and get that top hand to be on top of the plate, which is going to really stretch into the lats and the QL and that on the side there as well. And then over to the other side, same thing. Then we can start to explore putting the plate on our back. Now obviously there's a prerequisite here. We want to be quite comfortable in the straddle before we start to load it. And I'd recommend that you at least can get both elbows down to the floor before you put a plate on the back. That way you can control how deep you're going instead of the plate controlling how deep you go. So when you put the plate on your back, make sure that it's mainly on your back and not your head. So don't put it up like this. Have it slightly on the head, but more on the back than the head. So in that position, and then just come down onto your elbows. Walk out as far as you can. Now I can control how much depth the plate is forcing me to go. So I'm slowly walking the elbows out. I could place my head onto the hands, and again I'm controlling how much I'm going down. Now if you're quite progressed with this, you can purposely target the low back. So here you see I'm trying to push my head to the floor, but I've got more of a curved position. What ideally I want to do is bring the plate down a little bit lower and focus on trying to get more open, more anterior in the pelvis, trying to encourage my stomach or my chest to touch the floor as opposed to my head and that rounding. So the plate is really good to help you to flatten out that low back. Once you're comfortable with that one, we can stick the plate back on there in that same position. We're more on the back than the head, and then I'm just going to come forwards and back again. Now obviously I've got more percentage of the weight now because I haven't got my elbows on the floor, so I wouldn't go too heavy with this one until you're very controlled, comfortable and conditioned in the position. But watch how I'm trying to lengthen with the elbows the whole time, not just on the way down but on the way back up as well. Now these sort of exercises are also great for people that have great flexibility already. You can go all the way to the floor, but they're not controlled. They have to use their hands to push up and down, using a slight weight, and definitely start with a lighter one if you're one of those people, but try and encourage the body to do the work, so the hips to do the work to come up and down, and not to push off the hands when you come up and down. And when we're doing the straddle stretching, we're stretching the adductor, but we're also stretching the hamstring, and also the gunk or the connective tissue that sticks them both together. Now they shouldn't be stuck together, but through lack of movement, they become stuck together. So what you're basically doing is tearing them apart as you go into the movement. And that's that feeling that can go all the way down, but often feel like it's stuck around the knee area. I'd also explore sideways movement, so taking the chest towards the knee, taking the head towards the toe. Don't take the head towards the knee. Try and lengthen the spine as best you can. So I'd spend some time there, and then also rotate so the shoulder comes to the knee. Now you can either take the opposite hand up in the air, or if you can reach over the top and grab hold of your foot and then pull into that position. If that's easy for you, you can easily get your shoulder to the knee. See if you can go shoulder to floor. Obviously do the same on the other side. And what's cool with this one is once you do the sides, normally when you go back to the middle, you'll get more depth. It's also worth exploring other movements, like opening up your thoracic, hanging, stretching the calves and stretching the hamstrings individually, and then coming back and retesting your pancake. So let me know if you have any questions with the straddle position. These are my favorite exercises. There's quite a few other ones. There's some cool ones with bands and stuff as well that I've shown in the past. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll speak to you next time. Thanks guys.